All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. And Shalom to all the sincere believers, which includes the Israelites who are scattered amongst these other nations and look like these other nations. Now, this lesson is going to be basically an update on this whole U.S., Israel, and Iran conflict that's taking place. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this summary. I'm going to get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says, Trump says there will likely be more U.S. deaths as Iran strikes to continue until all goals achieved. Says Donald Trump says there will likely be more U.S. casualties during operations in Iran, as military activity in the region will continue until all objectives are achieved. U.S. Central Command earlier said 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action and 5 seriously wounded. It says for Trump, each American casualty raises the stakes domestically, writes our senior reporter Bernd DeBusman Jr. And let's just be clear on something. Trump does not care about American casualties because it was supposed to be America first. He was supposed to be putting Americans first. Israelis are not Americans. But yet, American soldiers are out there in the quote-unquote Middle East fighting a war that's supposed to be between Israel and Iran. So American soldiers are dying because America is basically owned and ran by Israel. So whenever Israel gets themselves caught up in something, they use America and American soldiers as their sword. So Americans are dying on behalf of Israel, not on behalf of America. And ultimately, this is all being controlled by the Lord. The Heavenly Father is setting this whole thing up. But, there's a lot of people who don't understand that from the spiritual point of view. It says Iranian officials say at least 153 people, including children, were killed after a strike hit a school. While in Israel, 9 people have been killed after a missile strike in the city of Beit Shemesh, according to medical services. Iran's foreign minister says a new leader could be chosen in a day or two after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed. Says a British RAF base in Cyprus was targeted by a suspected drone strike on Sunday night. Said the British Ministry of Defense has said. Global oil prices jumped when markets opened in Asia on Monday. Yeah, so a lot is going on. There have been some U.S. casualties, some U.S. soldier casualties, I should say. There's been some Israeli casualties, and there's been some Iranian casualties. And that's what happens in war, just like Trump said. But you see, the main reason that America is even involved in this is because the scriptures tell us and I'm going to get it later on, that the least of the flock shall draw them out. And the least of the flock is Israel. And the Lord is allowing Israel to drag America into this third world war. And we know that in the end, Israel and America are going to get nuked. The Lord is just setting the stage for it. But first, in regards to, all of these people that have died since this war started, Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. And for all of those people on all three sides that have died, it was their time. The men who died, the women who died, and the children who died, it was their time to die according to the will of the Lord. Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And that's what's happening. The least of the flock, being these Israelis out there in the land of Israel, are drawing America into this third world war. Because the beef, really, the conflict, the problem is really between Israel and Iran. But because America is always in the middle of it, always in the middle of something, some type of conflict, now U.S. soldiers are getting killed. U.S. bases are getting struck with, missiles. And this is all according to the will of the Lord. The Heavenly Father Yahweh is setting the stage for World War III. Salakia. Yeah, the Lord Yahweh is setting the stage for World War III. And that's why what's happening right now with Israel, the U.S., and Iran is happening. Exodus 15:3. The Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. And that's right. The Heavenly Father is a man of war. And we see it taking place right now. And like it said in this article right here, Trump says there will likely be more U.S. deaths as Iran strikes to continue until all goals achieved. So, like I said, he does not care about the U.S. soldiers. He doesn't care how many U.S. soldiers are going to die in this war. Trump is fighting on behalf of Israel. He doesn't care about the American people. He never did. Trump is just a puppet. And a lot of people, Salakia, a lot of people here in America are waking up to that Trump never had the American people's best interest at heart. A lot of people are coming to that realization. But of course, you still have, his MAGA fan base that are going to ride for him no matter what he does, no matter how many of their family members and friends go off and die in a war that America, if you looked at it from a carnal point of view, that America didn't need to be in. because like so many people have pointed out, there were peace talks going on between Iran and the US, and I think Israel as well. Like there were peace talks going on. Things were, you know, being, I guess, worked out diplomatically, I guess you could call it. And then all of a sudden, Israel and the US start launching missile strikes on Iran. So obviously, once that happens, peace talks go up in flames, and now a war is on. And one of the things that Trump ran on in his campaign to become president was that he would be a president of no new wars, that there would be no new wars under his administration. And yet here America is in a war with Iran. And this right here just proves that the so-called white man is not in control of anything. Esau tries to act like he's making all his own moves and making all his own decisions, and he's not. The Lord is the one making Esau do the things that Esau is doing. The Heavenly Father ruleth in the kingdom of men. The scriptures tell us that. The scriptures also tell us that Salakia. Yeah, the scriptures also tell us that a man's goings are of the Lord Yahweh. How then can a man understand his own way? So everything that Trump is doing, everything that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing, it's all being controlled by the Heavenly Father. Because the Lord wants America and Israel to get destroyed in this third world war. So basically the Lord is using Israel, or is using Israel to drag America into it. Because if you've been paying attention, every time Israel gets itself caught up in something, America is right there, backing them, getting involved, because Israel knows they can't fight Iran on their own, because Iran is backed by China and Russia. So in order to try to level the playing field, so to speak, Israel brings America into it. And then you have, the UK and Canada and, mainly Slovakia, mainly these Western nations basically siding with Israel and the US on their attacks upon Iran, even though it was wrong. It was illegal for the Israel and the US to do that. But in typical Western Edomite fashion, them dropping bombs on anybody that's brown skin, they can justify in their own minds. But as we've seen, Iran wasn't just going to get hit and not hit back. As soon as they got hit, Iran started dishing out some missile strikes of their own. And rightfully so, because they have the right to defend themselves. So we're going to see just how far this conflict goes. But yeah, this is just a sign of the times. a sign of the last days. And Trump was absolutely right. There will be more U.S. deaths, and there will be more Israeli deaths, and there will be more Iranian deaths as well. Uh, 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And given what's currently happening out there in the so-called Middle East, it's safe to say that we are in some dangerous times, because we are in a time of war, which through the spirit I'm gonna grab that as well. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Jumping down to verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And in war, people die. A lot of people die. Military personnel, quote unquote, innocent civilians. A lot of people die. Men, women, children. But we have to keep in mind that nobody who perishes is innocent. Gotta grab that too. Job 4:7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? And the answer is that no one perishes being innocent. So those U.S. service members who died, they were not innocent. The people in Israel who died, those were not innocent people. And the people in Iran who died, those schoolgirls who died when that missile struck their school, those girls were not innocent in the eyes of the Lord. And they all perished because they were not innocent. Verse 8, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening every day all over the world. Wicked men, wicked women, and wicked children who have provoked the Lord unto wrath are now reaping what they've sown in the form of the judgments of the Lord being brought upon them. Psalm 7:11. Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And that's why people die in the way that they die. A missile striking a school and little girls getting buried under rubble. People dying in fires, people drowning, people dying in car crashes, in shootings, in stabbings, in animal attacks. All of these are the Lord's judgments. This is all his anger towards wicked people being manifested every day. Like it says in Zephaniah 3:5, the just Lord Yahweh is in the midst thereof. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So every morning when you wake up and you check the news and you hear about how somebody died or multiple people died, in whatever way the Lord saw fit to make that happen, that's his judgment being brought to light. And like it says in Romans 2:11, there is no respect of persons with Yahweh. So the Lord doesn't care who you are. If you're wicked, if he deems you to be wicked and he is angry with you, you're going to get judged. You're going to get punished. And more than likely, you're going to be killed. Because the Lord is not messing around. He never was. And the men of the Lord have been warning people, starting, of course, with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, They have been warning people that these times were going to come, where the body count was going to skyrocket. Psalms 9:16. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion Selah. And that's right. These judgments are from the Lord. All the death, all the destruction, all the violence, the chaos, the miseries, the mourning and weeping that's going on in the world is the judgment of the Heavenly Father. This is how he's punishing these wicked people that he is angry with, regardless of where in the world they dwell. And it's just going to get worse. The Lord is going to continue to pour out his wrath. Psalm 79:6. Pour out thy wrath upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. And what's happening right now out there in the so-called Middle East is the Lord pouring out his wrath upon those heathens out there and upon those kingdoms that have not called upon his name. Because those people out there are worshiping false gods. They're not calling on the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. They're calling on Allah and all these other gods. And as you see, those gods that they call upon can't save them, because those gods are not real. The only God is Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, and his only begotten Son, Yahushai. Those are the true powers of heaven and earth. Nobody else. And people are going to learn that. But they're going to learn it the hard way, through violence, through death and destruction. So, you better strap in, because things are not going to slow down anytime soon. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith, and shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord's will. Until next time, shalom.